Cam Proctor with Big Gold Bell Media. Today we are here with writer, co-executive producer Michael Rabb, as well as executive producer Dete Meserve, for Not a Box Season 1 premiering on Apple TV Plus Friday, June 13th. How are you all doing today?
Oh, we're
Doing
doing,
good. Thanks, Cam.
Great, great, great. Super happy to talk to you today. So I got to check out all 8 episodes, and to be honest with you, it didn't surprise me, but it's a really great show, and I think a lot of kids are gonna have a really really fun time watching this. I have a 2 year old, so of course she is my helper reviewer with a lot of shows like this, and she is over head over heels for it, to be honest with you. And we're hoping honestly to see a season 2 coming up ASAP, to be honest with you. So yeah, just want to give y'all props. It's a really great show.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. So speaking of the show, of course it follows Riley the bunny, as well as the narrator, which is called the adult. And obviously you're working with two different individuals that are in two different spectrums as far as life as well as in their careers, with Ian James Corlett, who is known as, I mean, as well, I know him as Goku, as well as Master Roshi as well. And then of course we have Isabel Birch, who is playing Riley the bunny. Obviously two amazing talents, but one is established in their career, the other one is slowly growing. What was it like working with these two different individuals on these two different walks of life? I can start with you, Michael.
Well, first of all, Izzy is Riley. I mean,
Mhm.
from the first time she came in the booth, I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
That it was perfect. She embodied the excitement, the enthusiasm, the imagination of the show. So I could not have been happier. And as far as the adult, even the idea of adult was like we weren't sure. Kids don't need an adult to imagine. They can do it just
Right.
fine on their own. And sometimes the adults could be an interruption. But we thought just sporadically adding a little bit where the parent or the adult could ask a question.
Yeah.
Why are you sitting in that box, Riley? Which is how every
Mhm.
show starts. And Riley gets to kick off her imagination based off of that question. It's not a box, it's a boat or it's a
Yeah.
submarine. Um, and Ian has such a great voice, and it's so relatable and friendly, and it was just enough. It was just enough, and he just played it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. What you did.
yeah, I love Izzy's voice. I mean, I think one of the things, she's only 8 years old, and so there was this like a childlike feel to her that was not, prepared or had overly experienced, where she had been in so many other shows that she has like a similar or familiar pattern. She really was organically a kid going through these adventures. And, she has a lot of lines, as you see in here. Almost all of the lines belong to her. And Izzy, I was just so blown away by her, because do you remember, Mike, where she would like ask the recording engineer, oh, wait, shouldn't we go back to line 21? Or she started being like a little mini producer. But then she'd be this giggly little girl, right, embodying everything we wanted Riley to be: curious and imaginative and playful and fun, and finding the spark in everything. So she was absolutely amazing to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it shines through in the voice acting that, I mean, it is, I guess you can say it's pure of heart, with both the characters. So I do love that about it for sure. Can you talk a little bit about working with Passion Pictures and selecting the animation style? Because I noticed it was more of a traditional hand-drawn animation style. And how is that kind of more relatable to children along with their artwork? I can start with you, Dita.
Yeah. So the passion has been amazing to work with. But before we even went out to anyone to design any part of this, Mike worked on 3 stories. So we really understood the flow, the characters, the world, the pacing, the how everything unfolds. And then we were able to bring those stories to various creators on the visual side and see what they came back to with. And they're amazingly wonderful ideas. But what we were looking for in its essence was an idea that was truly coming out of a child's imagination that we hadn't seen before. It needed to be organically feel like a kid could have drawn this, or this is a world that a kid would be. And that means it's imperfect. It means that it has surprises in it. Because if you ever look at, your 2-year-old's drawing when they're a little
Yeah.
older, and you say, draw a sea monster, you're going to imagine one thing, but they're going to take a different approach. So we wanted that surprise. We didn't want you to go, oh, this is a castle story, and I've seen that castle before. Mike had imagined it's a castle story, but I think it's a seahorse that she rides in on, right? Not a regular horse. And so you're like, what's that style? And when we saw Siri Melchior is the art director as well as the director for the series, some early drawings, they just leapt off the page. They felt like they came from a child with, a little more skills than that,
Yeah.
and had this texture and this vibrance that in itself had its own language that was speaking to a child's imagination. And so when we met her and started talking with Siri about her approach, we realized she is actually a child in an adult's body, kind of like Mike is a child in an adult's body too.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Mike?
I just think when I first saw her drawings, I was like, this to me looks like a picture book come to life, or could come to life. So I just fell in love with the series work right away. And Deet's right, like it looks like a kid did it with some adult sophistication built in. And that's the theme throughout the whole show, is that not just the stories coming from the mind of a child, but the artwork should look like a kid could have drawn it. And the music should come from sounds, toys, and other pots and pans and things that kids could make music out of at home. So I really wanted the whole show to feel like a kid had made it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I mean, all confidence and respect to the artist. Like, I mean, it reminds me of something, my child would draw, but like you said, it I guess it relates so much to the children. I think it looks really, really great though. So this is a little bit more of a serious question. So now sadly that federal funding for NPR as well as PBS is being removed as far as we know. How do you feel, or how do you wish that this show can hopefully be a catalyst to push the importance of programs like this for young learners? We can start with you, Mike.
The show is all about great storytelling.
Mhm.
And storytelling is, I mean, that's how I express myself as a writer, right? I'm still telling stories. I've been doing it all my life. And it's a nice life, and it's a nice way to explore the world around you and to be able to express yourself. And so that's really what I want kids to get out of Not a Box, and parents. Kids should be able to tell stories unlimited. Let your imagination go wild. And parents could just listen to that and ask a few questions along the way and listen to those stories. And it's just a wonderful message, telling stories and listening to stories. And I don't know, it's a really good time for that right now, for us to take a minute and just kind of listen to each other.
Yeah, for sure. How about you,
What do you
Dete?
think?
I think our imagination is the one thing that we can control. Antoinette says that. You can imagine anything, and no one else can tell you that's right or wrong. And that's really what we want to embrace in the show, is to encourage kids to explore their own ideas, that there is no right, there is no wrong, there's just your imagination. But also parents. It's really important that parents can go on these journeys too. Imagination is not just for kids. Though the show is targeted for kids, we hope that parents will sit down with them and go, yeah, how about I tell you a silly story after you've heard the kid's story, or engage in their silly story and recognize that as being like some of the fleeting moments of childhood, their ability to sort of tell this in the moment storytelling. I wish that all kids could preserve that forever, but what we're doing in the show is preserving it for them and
Mhm.
encouraging them to use that skill set for all their life.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. So that kind of answered my next question, but I'll go to my very final question here. So I got to check out an interview that you did, Dita, about the memory collectors the
Oh,
other day. So I'm definitely going to dive into that as well right after this. But I just wanted to say that whole well, the whole novel you told kind of came up based on a dream that you had, right?
Yeah.
So, how important would you both say dreaming and imagination play is important for the newest generation to influence themselves to work on new things, just like you were able to find, your own beat to the drum as far as writing this novel? I start with you, Dita.
Oh, it's everything. And whether it comes to you in a dream or that you're sleeping or a dream during the day or it comes to you as you're walking, I think that all of us can embrace that creativity and imagination literally is all around us. And our job, whether it's our real job in real life to write stories like Mike's is, or we have a completely different job, it's our job as humans to allow that creativity and those ideas to come in and to pay attention to them. Because when you do, your life will be enriched. Maybe you'll go off and write a novel like The Memory Collectors, or you'll create a show like Not a Box, or you'll do other things. But everything begins with that real sense of that imagination and not just saying, oh, yeah, that's this little thing that we do call imagination, but truly giving it the respect. And I'll use the word the sacredness of what that is uniquely human. And so I think that is what life is about. It's really about embracing that.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Mike?
Dreaming is a big part of my job. It's a requirement to be a writer. And literally, for years, I kept a pad of paper next to my bed because I would wake up from a dream and I'd be like, that's a great idea for a story or an episode. And so I'd write it down. And now I use my phone to do that. Um, but and like Dee was saying, like imagination isn't just for kids. I mean, if you're an engineer and you have to imagine how do we get cars from this side of this mountain to that side, you have to imagine in your head first what that thing looks like, and then as an engineer, you can go ahead and build it. So I think imagination is for everybody. It's where great ideas are born. And so we just really want to tell kids to dream and to record your dreams or write them down and make stories out of them and imagine your way, out of situations and great things are born from imaginations. And that's really what Not a Box is all about.
For sure, for sure. This is definitely the show that's going to push it for a lot of kids, I think. I'm really excited. Everybody at home, make sure you check out Not a Box season one, premiering on Apple TV Plus Friday, June 13th. Mike and Dita, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Kim.